Welcome once again, friends, to the Scarlette Jade Show. It's Sunday, April the 11th, 2021, and this week we will be discussing training as a sub, dom, and training your play partner in general in the lifestyle. This is only going to be a starter show because we have many parts to this one. There's so much to cover. We'll add some real life situations, exercises, and ways to improve in the lifestyle in regards to training. This is part one of a delightful two-part series. Jade, I'd like you to do our opening disclaimers for our lovely viewers, please. Take it away.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Don't interrupt. Now you can take it away.
My apologies. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. As always, a disclaimer. Are we bored yet? Too bad. Now then, on a serious note, the following program is for ages 18 and over. The information contained in the following video and subsequent videos after this is intended for personal informational use only. While medical advice is presented in some of these features, it is not intended to be used as such, and not intended to be used in lieu of your personal physician or therapist. The following especially goes for all viewers. Please consult your personal physician and or therapist before engaging in or taking part in any actions or descriptions or actions that may be presented herein. The following information is for, as stated, educational purposes only, and not intended for use without proper training and in many cases supervision. Please practice any and all the following techniques safely and with the principles of RAC and SSC in mind. Those are, of course, risk-aware consensual kink and safe standing consensual kink or play. Further, the Scarlette Jade Show and its members, crew, cast, and direction is not liable for any mishaps or accidents, medical or otherwise, that may occur as a result of the following examples and or descriptions illustrated or presented in this program. Please seek professional medical help if you are in distress and call your local emergency services if needed. Your discretion is, as always, strongly advised.
Okay, so in the past we've discussed finding a good dom or sub, but how do you act once they are found and once you've been claimed? Two things very important. Is there a rule book on sub or dom etiquette? Well, there are a lot of things written all over the web, all over in books and stuff like that, but there is no one singular Bible because everything is different for everyone. However, there are some basic tenets that need to be kept in mind when you are training your sub or dom. Now, no, we're not training your dom as a sub, so don't get any ideas, young lady. I know you think that yeah, right. You just said
never.
What did I say?
No interrupting.
Good. Now stop talking or else I'll send you that ball gag I was talking about. Right. Now, if not, why not? Well, because I haven't finished writing it yet. But seriously, how do you know when or if to take things up a notch and increase the excitement, as it were? We're answering these questions and more on today's show. Now, mine is a long journey, as most of you are probably aware, and some of you are new coming here, so you can go back and find out more of our story or read some stuff in the bio as well. When you hit the like and subscribe button, you can find more information below. I came into training as a dominant early. One could say I was trained from childhood to take charge, teaching others, being a helper while being assertive as well. It was necessary. I was taught to use my mind and cherish it from a young age. Unfortunately, many didn't cherish that because they don't see a woman who is attractive as someone who should have a good mind. And that's sad for them, frankly. So in the situations I found myself as a young person, I had to be the strong, take control type. And given the mental health issues of some of the people that I was exposed to very early on, I learned to temper that strength and control with consideration, patience, and listening. This wasn't my official training as most would see it. However, it gave me a better foundation for my future training and possibly an unfair advantage. Too bad. I'm really good for it, so that's okay. Given my exposure to many people that are more prevalent in the community early on in life, I had no reason to judge or be surprised by anyone I came across or continue to come across in my life as a dom. And my true learning came in around the age of 19, when a friend showed interest in the community, and it became my mission to find him a dominant to help him along, because I wasn't going to be that one. I had no idea what I was doing. And meanwhile, I was confident, strong, and self-aware, but I wasn't a dominant in the trained sense. And I didn't feel it was my place to do so, like many try to do, and that's not appropriate. It's better to have some training and understanding of what you're doing, and we'll get into that. So he was a subservient cross-dresser and it was important to him. So we went on that journey together, and I have loved training in helping others find their path, their bliss, kinks, and fetishes ever since. And I can see that my dear sub is wanting to share because she's getting antsy, as she always does. And I'll allow her to go ahead, and then I'll continue my thoughts afterwards. Go ahead, Jade.
If I may be done. Thank you. Don't mean to get you off.
You're fine.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will try to keep this reasonably brief. I know when I first came to realize I was a submissive, it was incredibly hard for me to reconcile that with being an ardent feminist, as well as my desire to craft myself into a strong, take no crap woman in the workforce. It was beyond difficult from a psychological standpoint. I mean, how could I submit to anyone when I philosophically worship the ground strong women walked on, metaphorically speaking? I know it seems ridiculous now, but at the time I found it unbearable and nigh irreconcilable. I wanted to be respected and taken seriously and above most anything else. I mean, that was what I wanted. At the time, professional academia dominated my life, and I saw a potential career at a university somewhere, teaching or working my way up to administrative positions such as chancellor or president of the university. It also didn't help that I found the worst DOMs to experiment with on or offline. They didn't seem to care which medium or which medium mattered. Aftercare was a foreign language and concept, it seems. As were safe words. Nearly landed in a hospital that time. It wasn't a fun time and left me with numerous psychological and physical scars, many of which still exist to this day. But it did teach me a lot. Madame Scarlette is actually the only Dom I've had who have treated me as a real person, worth some amount of respect, and not just an object. Admittedly, back then I didn't know much about lifestyle, being a submissive or otherwise, or what to expect in a Dom for that matter. My first introduction to BDSM was, now don't laugh at this, the real life adaptation of gore, or the Gorean lifestyle. While largely thought fictitious, there is in fact a dedicated following of loyal practitioners. And I honestly had no idea it existed, but it does. And I honestly couldn't stand it. I mean, slave girls who worship men, I mean, it's misogynist sex wet dream.
But that's not our kink, it's other people's kinks.
I realize that, man. I'm getting to that. But I mean, that was me personally. The mere concept was anathema to me. I mean, if you're into that, no shade. You do you, boo. But philosophically, I personally had too many issues. And because of my past, I could not bring myself to participate in that, much less entertain the lifestyle around me or otherwise in my presence. At least in a professional porn, there's script and a liability release. And when you say stop, they stop regardless. It's an act and allows my mind to form walls to separate fiction from reality and my real persona from the character of Amy Jade. It took a lot of time, understanding, introspection, and self-reconciliation to cope with and understand my, shall we say, proclivities. I didn't read books or watch bad movies, looking at you, 50 Shades. I learned to understand and appreciate the lifestyle, the real lifestyle. It wasn't until I met Madame that I learned to truly love and respect not just lifestyle, but myself. It was a long, grueling process. I learned that the lifestyle is not demented and depraved, unless one is into that, in which case, awesome, you do you. But, I mean, we're all different. But I learned that the cornerstone of lifestyle is consent, as in all things. In everything done. I learned that BDSM doesn't conflict with feminism. It goes hand in hand with feminism. It is empowering to be able to trust another with your absolute safety, security in your mind and body from a sub standpoint. In fact, it was knowledge I gained from, once again, Madame Scarlette. And I promise I'm not trying to brag about her, but it was this knowledge that prepared me for the sex industry about almost 4.5, almost 5 years ago now. A lot of what we use in the lifestyle is also used in the industry. Vetting, for one example. For escorts, we vet clients before we meet through a screening process. Or for actresses in porn, we vet producers before signing the bottom line, just as they vet us. While BDSM is comparative rarity in escorting, or companionships, as it's softly called, it happens, and several of my colleagues in the industry moonlight as pro-doms. I can't speak to their level of success in this, but the point remains, The processes we use in lifestyle are the same or in the same methodological family as the procedures we use in the industry to keep ourselves safe and secure. That goes the same for roles. There's a myriad of different roles in the industry, as we've already covered. It's not just escort meet client, escort get screwed, escort walk out with money. If only it were so simple. But no, that's surely not the case. I mean, there's all escorts, and not all of them even offer sex. I mean, I personally know several ladies who simply offer casual companionship in case a gentleman needs someone to talk to or can't be seen showing up somewhere without a girl on his arm. I personally offered sex, well, because as a trans girl, I didn't have many options in the industry aside from that. I was told early on, trans girls, he used a term I'll not repeat here, so I'm using quotation marks here, aren't hired for companions, they're hired for stress relief. Again, he used a term we can all pretty much imagine, but we want this video to eventually be monetized, so language. Plus, trans women are appearance symbol in the industry, a fetish. A money-making fetish, to be sure. This is widely known, which leads us back full circle to BDSM. According to Forbes, the sex industry, which includes professional BDSM, is a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. It's ironic given the prudish nature in the society in the West. BDSM professionally has been mentioned here before, but rarely involves sex. That's not what a majority of clients desire. Some do, but it's like maybe 5%.
I can say that the majority of the people that I've had is when I've had clients and stuff that have hired me for scenes, not once in all the years that I've done this, have I ever had sex with any of the subs or clients, ever.
Exactly. More and more escorts, call girls, etc., myself included, are trying to break into the BDSM side of the sex industry. It's less invasive, ironically enough. I'm not going to say less demanding, but it's less procedural in a way, and it's much more grounded, and it's safer. Unfortunately, for most of them, with most professional dungeons, and there exist a myriad of them across the nation here in the US, you just gotta find them. You can't really go on Google and say sex dungeon. Well, it would make things more interesting, but unfortunately, you type that in Google search and you get a whole bunch of different. With most professional dungeons, you just start as a sub, then you work your way up, and many of us just aren't willing to do that. Now, I am, but yeah, different thing. This is the equivalent of having you start up as a trainee in civilian or vanilla jobs, and then you work your way up to, like, say, senior manager or whatever. The reason for having you start as a sub is so you literally and metaphorically learn the ropes. Haha. Therefore, you learn what subs expect and feel. This is an effective way to train and learn to be a good dom and sub for those who are into it. But admittedly, it's not for everyone. Plus, as with every job, no matter what it is, we start at the bottom and work your way up. That's the way of progression. That's called upward mobility. Now, I must agree with the general consensus stated flatly by UK pro-dom, her stage name is No Mercy. She possesses a PhD in biochemistry. In an article quoted by The Guardian, that having done a survey of peer-reviewed research that states that apart from Dr. Zagarin's study, which I will link down below, there is a dearth of academic literature and empirical data on the relationship between biopsychology and BDSM. Because the work done so far has been exemplary, what little work there is, it shows a rather Pavlovian relationship between submissives and doms, especially in the realms of operant conditioning, pet play, consensual humiliation, and other spheres or domains of play. So the sources used today, and again, we'll link them below, come from vice.com, which surprisingly enough is a very good source, National Institutes of Health based in Bethesda, Maryland, and the information site Science of BDSM, sponsored by the University of Arizona. To emphasize the points already made, academic works in kink and BDSM are truly lacking. Given the comparative dearth of information, I can safely and strongly say throughout my nearly decade in higher academia, undergrad and working on my master's degree in grad school. In academic databases from JSTOR and a variety of others, like ResearchGate and as many as you could think of, there's maybe I would say 0.08% that actually focuses in any regard on the realms of kink and BDSM and related fields, which is, I'm sorry, pathetic. I mean, I had to dig for several of these sources. I'm not someone for whom research is difficult. I'm one of those weirdos who really likes research. Like, if I could have any custom bumper sticker, it would be like, research is my kink. But considering the realms of operant conditioning and others, this lends credence to my point. I fully believe much more additional research is needed, if I haven't made the point clear by now, as well as published academia, preferably, and needs to be published openly. Time magazine is much more accessible to the general public than, say, The Lancet or the New England Journal of Medicine, or even Psychology Today. Granted, in the midst of a global pandemic, and I'm kind of wrapping up here, I don't want to take too much time, it's not easy to get much non-COVID related material published in any well-sourced publication, quasi-academic or not. But truly, the more information gets out there in the public eye, the more it can be circulated widely, disseminated by people who gain interest or already have growing interest, or thereby allowing them to make informed decisions. Plus, as a main point, having readily accessible information can help guide them in finding a dom or sub and assist them in acting and behaving appropriately in such relationship, which is today's topic.
It's interesting how you were talking about the PhD in biochemistry, and I'm a scientist as well. I'm a research scientist as well as, botany, biology. So that's, environmental science is my thing. And with it comes biology and a knowledge of these things. So I find it very funny that a lot of us are highly educated that are more outspoken in this industry and in this community. So it's kind of amusing to me. I mean, there are all walks of life, obviously, in the community. That we're not all scientists and stuff like that. And we're not, most of us aren't scientists, but but the ones that are truly outspoken, I've noticed, do like to publish and do like to talk. But as Jade had said, very few things are available out there that help to train and encourage and bring forth more knowledge. Now people are saying, oh, there are some people talking online. This is where we kind of sift through the beneficial versus the negatives. And we learn from the good and the bad, obviously. So thank you so much, Jade. As usual, that was insightful, sweet, and intelligently put together. I'm always grateful for all the hard work that you do. I appreciate you and your insights, obviously, as you should always know.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome. So training as a dominant, as we used to do, was to learn from, and Jade had already mentioned this, from another dominant in the lifestyle, someone who had preferably been in the lifestyle for quite a long time and had earned their stripes, as it were. Now it's not submitting. So don't get your asses up in the air saying, I'm not a submissive. Oh my gosh, get over yourself. Okay. You have to learn from somewhere. And I personally, and I think honestly, this should be well noted and driven home constantly, because a lot of subs don't want to learn or be trained by somebody who has absolutely no training whatsoever. And that's dangerous. It is dangerous. I mean, if you're doing bedroom play, that's one thing, but even then you still have the conversations. What are you doing? Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Precisely that. Yes, that scar that you earned there. You did not earn that scar. You got that scar unfairly.
Want to be slashed my chest open with a combat knife.
Yeah. So these are the things that we get when, the things that we get when people are not trained and do not understand what BDSM is. We don't come at it from violence, and that is absolutely the wrong mindset. And this is a conversation I had earlier this week with somebody as well. Coming at it from a point of violence is absolutely the most incorrect point to take from it, because you're not out to harm somebody in a dangerous way. At that point, we really don't want you as part of a member of the community, because you're a danger to yourself and others. And then you make a bad name for us. And then, of course, all those TV shows, movies, and stuff like that portray us in a crappy light prove their point. And we don't like that. I don't like it. A lot of other people that I know that have been in the community for a long time do not like it. And we need a better press in the sense of showing who we truly are, and that we are intelligent, caring, and interesting individuals who have an awful lot to offer, and that we help a lot of people through what we do. And it's for some people it's just fun, for some people it's therapy. And that's another conversation I had as well. For a lot of people, this is truly therapy, and we'll go cover that as well. As I said, this is and we both mentioned that this is part of a two-part show. The second part will show you more interaction. We'll actually show poses and stuff, and I'll show you images from one of my other subs who has kindly offered to give images of himself posing and offering himself up as he does, because he's a good boy. I have a lot of very good subs, and I have a lot of other people that keep asking to be my sub, and you are also wonderful. I would need to clone myself to have the ability to dominate all the people that would love to have me. Although I would love to have the opportunity to teach many of you, and that may happen. Actually, it will. So let's go back, wheel myself around there because I get on a tangent. Okay, so yeah, you take the submissive position in this case where you're learning from another dominant, even if you are dominant. And I stress this clearly to learn specifically how it feels to do what you do to a submissive or a slave. It is the best training tool, as you can learn about your pressure points, pain tolerance, placement, subspace, aftercare. The importance of aftercare is not something I can stress enough. And of course, consent. I will never stop saying it. I've seen too many just jump in thinking they're dominant without having any training at all and causing actual damage to another individual due to lack of knowledge of anatomy and, of course, their training. You don't understand about the body, you're going to hit things like, oh, over the kidneys. I have seen somebody do this where they've started bruising over the kidneys. This is no joke, folks. And of course, there are other things that people play with, obviously, like your nipples, genitalia. If you bruise these things or damage them, you can actually cause permanent tearing, damage, and this is not something we want to do. We don't. I'm sorry, these are graphic topics. We will put a warning, obviously, beforehand, because some people will find them a little stressful. But they're important to drive home. And I'm sorry, there's not enough information out there driving this information and these points home, which is an absolutely necessary point. I'm getting passionate about this because this matters a great deal to me. This is why we're doing these shows. Okay, so you're going to learn about anatomy as well. Very important. It's not as simple as you think. You can't just jump in going, oh, I'm going to go ahead and beat somebody today. There's a lot involved. I'm grateful for the proper training that I received. And this brings me where I am today. I didn't wake up one day and decide, oh, hey, I went through hell as a kid, so I'm going to go ahead and be a violent person. I'm a strong, independent female. So I'm going to go ahead and beat people for fun and maybe profit, because that sounds like fun. No. Also, I didn't take this show lightly either. A lot of people over the years asked me to do training videos and stuff like that. It took me a long time to actually reel myself in and decide that I was at the right time to do this. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing videos. I'm new, I'm making a video. Don't do that. You don't read a book or play a little bit and think that you're an expert. I'm sorry. I'm 30 years plus in the community, and I'm only now doing videos, just for the simple fact that I want to make sure that I have enough in here and enough that I can actually provide that is sound knowledge and that people take me seriously. And that's the biggest part. So because we're putting out the information and decades of knowledge out there that I have learned through much trial and error, and oh boy, there's a lot of trial and error. And hopefully for some of you, it makes a difference and allows you to see the community differently. Now, for me, training as a dominant includes psychology and anatomy. We covered these things. The ability to read people and their needs and wants, comprehending body language, noting the smallest visual cues from their hands, eyes, how the skin reacts, like regarding bruising, reddening, goose pimpling, things like that. Communication with a submissive or submissives before even playing, to note their experience, their headspace, because you have to make sure that they're prepared and ready for this, their desires and health concerns. I don't just jump into play and say, okay, let's do this when somebody goes ahead. Will you dominate me? No, I need to talk to you, know you first. I'm sorry, I'm not a pleasure dispenser here, okay? You can't just put a coin in the slot and out comes your fun. That's not how I play. So I always do a little pre-chat, even if, I'm looking at play parties and clubs here where there's not an awful lot of communication and stuff beforehand, but the respect for that individual, allowing you to take control for them, should always be evident. And that starts with learning about them and knowing them more as an individual and seeing where the path is meant to take them. For some, you might think, but I just want to play. Yeah, and that's fine. But would you just walk up to your partner or a stranger and go, yeah, I'm going to tie you up without knowing if that works for them as well?
That's called assault.
There has to be at least a little thought process behind this. And there usually is because you're thinking of these things, but preparation and communication is also essential. Reading, exploring, training yourself to know how you, as a dominant, factor into your role. And there are many types of dominance, as well as submissives and slaves, and that's important. I usually have contracts or agreements in place before taking on someone as my submissive, and the knowledge of what they enjoy and want out of the DNS relationship. My voice and eye contact are enough to set most submissives right very quickly. And that is an art unto itself. I don't have to touch them to put them in their place. And that's the mark of a good dominant. When you use that in everyday life without realizing it, and people aren't in the community and they stop and wait for your next instruction, you know you've got it down pat. Not advisable to try out because you feel sassy, though. It just kind of happens with me. You need to know how to use your tools and how they work on submissives, whether they be electric, impact, vibrators, floggers, latex. And if I named everything out there, we'd be here for a very long time. We already have been. And we will cover this stuff in another episode. It is your responsibility to know how they work, check their quality, and know the impact it has on each person, and to keep them clean. There's also a lot more involved than I'm covering now, but I'm overloading you at this moment, and I know this. I'm probably picturing a few of your eyes glazing over because, oh my gosh, all the stuff she's teaching us is awesome. Yes, it is. But I need you to be able to have it sink in as well, because for us, this is no joke. We're doing these shows because we want to help people and encourage them to play safely and enjoy themselves. And you're making fun of me right now.
No, madame. I'm just thinking of what would happen if we made everyone who watched this take a test. Like a multiple choice or fill in the blank test.
There'd be no multiple choice. I want an essay. And now, training subs. Yeah, it's a huge and varied topic and an undertaking because, like dominance, there are many types, like my brat and kitten right there. The important thing is to listen, is to pay attention and to care for them properly. First and foremost, they're people that want affection, understanding, love, nurturing, to play in the lifestyle and to learn. And they want someone they can trust completely. Some want you to guide them to their goals and to push them to their limits and beyond and help them explore. Some want to meet whatever goals dominants have in mind, but they always have a concept, if even a small one, of where they want to start from and what, of course, turns them on in this lifestyle, or they wouldn't be here in the first place. We are the kink navigators. By the way, that's mine. Don't steal it, or I'll find out, and I'll find you.
Trademarks.
Many subs are in a position of power and control in their lives, need some who can make them feel submissive. No, it's not really as common as you want to believe. And some people believe, oh, I can dominate anybody. No, it's not that common. When you're talking about really high people up there who are in positions of power, to find somebody that can make them feel submissive, that's a challenge. And that's somebody that they can trust body, soul, and mind to. I have various types of subs who trust me, very much so, ranging from kittens, littles, pain lovers, sensual subs, to other dominants who want me to help them learn more, even to training couples, which isn't an unusual request for me. And I enjoy it all because it allows me to stretch my muscles and use my skills to help focus, release, and train others. All right, so far we've covered a lot. I'd like to make sure our shows actually sink in for people. So Amy Jade, is there anything else you'd like to add to what we have so far?
No, madame, I think I spoke enough, probably. I want to overload or overwhelm people. I will say, though, that just an FYI to anyone who is interested, getting your nipples pierced as a segue is a lot in the actual piercing. That's all.
Okay. Well, thank you for that addition. I'm sure that somebody will find that very important. Actually, probably a lot of people. Actually, a lot of people in the community that don't have theirs pierced will probably actually find a lot of that information useful. So it's a good thing to talk about at some point, at least in a small portion. Okay, so we'll continue this topic next week with examples, more talk about how to better hone your skills with interviewing questions, some role play. We're going to make Amy Jade crawl around, be her actual place where she should be, on the floor on all fours. And we hope to see you there. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share down below. Please hit all the buttons. Don't hit them all at the same time because that might screw things up. And by the way, by next week, I'll add a draw for someone to win one of my masquerade masks owned by me. So you're going to need to show up to win, because I'm going to ask you to add your names to the list on that show. So that way you can possibly win. Yay.
I've seen some of her masks. They're amazing.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much again. Like, subscribe, share. Take care and goodbye.
Bye-bye.